But big fella, you got your shot because you said FILA. Forever I love Atlanta. And I didn't blame you for picking the Falcons. 30-0. Had Bryce Young was more accurate in that game, champ, it probably would have been 49-0.
That was pretty. Let me take that medicine right now before I get to talking. In the great words of Denzel off training, they get that medicine up in. But be honest, come on, bro. But look, that was ugly. That was, and you saw the receiver coach got fired.
No, champ. It was uglier than Flavor Flav's teeth.
Yeah, it was ugly. It was very, very ugly, man. It was uglier than Anaconda. That movie. Ice Cube played in with the big old snake in there. That was that
Jennifer kind of, Lopez in it.
Yeah, that was real. Look, that was pathetic, man. I'm not gonna be kind, man. I'm not gonna be too kind today. Normally I keep my words soft and sweet, but that was pathetic. Especially when you think about the fact that we saw what the team is capable of doing. We saw it the first two games. You saw the first game, you saw what the offense was capable of. Second game, you saw what the defense was capable of. For you to come out here on the road and get embarrassed 30-0, that is flat out inexcusable, man. You got to ask yourself, man, Coach Morris, what are you going to do about this? You fired the receiver coach right about now. You know, now the offensive coordinator, he's going to call the game from the sideline now, whereas he used to call it from the booth. So a lot of changes after that 30-0 loss. But look, there's too much talent on this team. And look, I gave you your flowers last week, BRF. You wasn't here. But BRF, you told me about that defense. I started saying, remember what I was saying in the offseason? I said, run that damn checkup when it comes to the defensive side of the ball in free agency. But I was like, hell, let's go get Christian Wilkinson. He was like, no, champ, be patient, man. I'm telling you what's going to happen. But, yeah, we saw what that defense was capable of. And they held as long as they could. But you can't do anything when you don't even pass your opponent's 30-yard line. We didn't even pass our opponent's 30-yard line. We never even got in the red zone during that game. Didn't run B. John Robinson the way we were supposed to do. Didn't pass the ball the way that we were supposed to do. Didn't rush the passer the way that we were supposed to do. There was a lot of stuff wrong with that game that Coach Morris, look, another loss like that, you might find yourself in the great words of us down here in Columbus changing your address. Because the thing is, for all of that talent on that team, on the offense and defensive side of the ball, and you produce 0 points. And everything was going, in the great words of Lionel Richie, everything seems to be going wrong because everything went wrong in that game. The kicker couldn't make a kick. I mean, we just replaced the kicker last week. Remember,
Young Huku, who's now found a home with the New York Giants. He's back in Jersey.
So he just got cut last week. We brought in Romo, and he missed 2 kicks. So everything went wrong in that. It's kind of like playing a family dinner at Ryan's and somebody throw some food. Everything went wrong on that one, man. So definitely got to get our stuff together, man. Look, to my knowledge, Marcus Mariota will be playing this week.
Yes.
And I think Terry McLaurin.
Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin got ruled out.
Okay, yes. So if you don't come out here and show me the fans something, you're going to be in a world of hurt. Because the fact that we didn't even get into the red zone, it's one thing when you give up the ball, you fumble and stuff like that. It's one thing when that happens. When you don't even touch the red zone, that's inexcusable with the talent that we have on the offensive side of the ball on that team. That's I throw my hands up on that. That is inexcusable, man. And I'm wondering what kind of adjustments are you going to make, Coach Morris? Because right now we can't. Right now, look, you have the Panthers in your division, which the jury's out on Bryce Young as we speak. The jury's out on him. Let's just be honest. You have the New Orleans Saints. They're not going anywhere fast right now. They're in the rebuilding stage. You have Baker in your division, and he's missing 3 offensive linemen right about now. He's missing 3 of his starting offensive linemen right about now. He's missing 2 of his receivers, his starting wide receiver. He just lost Mike Evans, the most reliable receiver he's ever had, and in Tampa Bay Bucks history just yesterday, and he's still going out there doing his thing. We have no excuse. And Atlanta, man, y'all need to get it together, man. That is inexcusable when you don't even get into the red zone and you make every mistake in the book. That is inexcusable, and a lot of adjustments have to be made, or heads are going to roll before the season is even over. Don't be surprised if things don't come back together pretty quickly. Heads start to roll, because look, if you looked at how Arthur Blank looked when he walked off that field, and walked into that locker room, when you saw his face, it was blank. And he looked like, this is some bull jive. So Atlanta, forever I will love Atlanta, but y'all have got to get it together. You got 5 potential Pro Bowlers on the offensive side of the ball. You got all of these rookies on the defensive side of the ball, and you don't get 1 touchdown, and you don't get not 1 touchdown. You miss every field goal. You have miscues all over the field, and you just go out there and you lay an egg like that on the road. Now you're coming back home and you're facing Cliff Kingsbury and that offense from the Washington Commanders. Better get it together, because if you don't, heads are going to roll very, very soon. And I know that this is supposed to be an exciting time for Atlanta at this point, because, you got a black quarterback, got a black coach. He was with the organization before. Coach Morris has been with this organization before. This is not his first rodeo. So you know the expectations. You was there during the Matt Ryan era. You know the expectations of this town and of this team. So for you to come out there and do that, and then you smiling at the end, you smiling and grinning and crap at the end of the game, shaking your opponent's hands, let's hope that smile because you got into those players like you're supposed to. I hope that film room had a lot of sad faces on Monday and Tuesday, because that was exactly what was supposed to happen. When you play careless, that's what's going to happen. But Atlanta, man, y'all got to get it together, man. And look, hey, like I said, I'm a man of my word. I said I'd take 1 shot. And I did that first, and here's 2 to you. Stone Cold style.
Champ, I will say this, though. I'm afraid if they lose to the Commanders without Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin, or even lose to the New Orleans Saints, I'm afraid you're going to get yourself a bottle of Henny and you're going to chug that on live.
Oh, no. Oh, it's going to get worse than that. I'm going to the nearest Shine House. I'm going to get some moonshine. We taking hillbilly shots around here for the rest of the week. So, so we're going to be having 4-wheel drive. Atlanta, look. BRF, your face is not helping. But Atlanta, y'all got to get it together.
I have a reason for my face. I'll let you finish, and then I'll go. I got a reason for my face.
I just don't like what we're looking. It looks just sloppy like, and I just don't get it. But BRF, I love to hear your opinion, man.
Go ahead, BRF.
The game against Minnesota and the game against Carolina is exactly why I stay the way I stay when it comes to the Falcons, because 1 week the Falcons are like they the talk of the league and and then the next week is like, oh my gosh, if they lose, heads are gonna roll and and I'm like, that's why I stay where I'm at, because the league is wishy-washy as hell. Granted, the Falcons brought it on themselves, but at the same time, it's like, you know what? Yeah, they love us now. But the minute we slip up, it's back to, oh my gosh, what are they gonna do? Falcons are gonna Falcon. And I'm like, you know what? Just take it 1 week at a time. Damn the fans, damn the media. Play your game. You have Michael Penix Jr. You have one of the better deep ball throwers in the league. You have one of the better quarterbacks in the league as far as pushing the ball down the field. Why aren't we pushing the ball down the field? We dinking and dunking, throwing short passes. When Michael Penix came into the league, when he came and got the starting job against Washington, the Giants, the Commanders, and the Panthers, they were pushing the hell up that ball down the field. There wasn't a lot of like these screen passes, like these digs. There wasn't a lot of this short stuff. They were pushing the ball down the field. They were controlling the tempo. They were speeding the tempo up. They were making defenses react to them. They're not doing that right now. That was the worst game I have seen called on the offensive side of the ball in a long, long time. There is no reason we should be that. There's no reason we should be predictable at all on offense.
Worse
That
than
game
Desmond
was
Ritter.
at
I'm
least
just
with
saying,
Desmond. At least
I'm just saying. BRF champ has often said Desmond Ritter could be
hear me.
past gas
No,
even if he
see,
was
see,
second
y'all
B.
gotta. You gotta hear me out on this because everybody's gonna shoot to the Desmond Ritter thing. You gotta hear me out of this. At least with Desmond Ritter, with Arthur Smith, at least he tried some level of unpredictability. The problem with Arthur Smith was he had Desmond Ritter. He had a sorry ass quarterback. You can't be unpredictable when your quarterback's not good.
What
You
not good
have a
was
guy.
Arthur Smith as a play caller?
What?
He wasn't that good of a play caller. Arthur Smith.
You can't do anything. You can't do anything with a sorry ass. You can't do anything with a sorry ass quarterback. But then at the same time, when he tried to do stuff, you're looking at you're just like, what are you like? What are you like? What are you doing? Some of the plays he called then were like, I don't know. All that was just a big old. All that was just a cluster. But I ain't even worried about Desmond Ritter at this point. I'm looking at the team now. That was complete. That reminded me of like. That reminded me somewhat like the Dan Quinn offensive errors when you knew they were going to throw the ball and they didn't do anything to kind of switch it up or anything. Like from what I've seen from stats and all this other stuff, we're running out of pistol and shotgun like over 90% of the time. We're like under center this year like a 5.6% clip under center. Like you can't you have no play action threat. You have no run action threat when you're not under center. And then when you do run play action out of like a pistol or a shotgun, your motion, you're not deceptive enough to really fool the defensive end on the backside. The defensive end looking at you on the backside. Yeah, you run that play action. Like a play in particular, one play in particular, they call the play. He runs the play action. The backside defensive end kind of stays on the side to keep contained. He's in Michael Penix's face. He can't make a good throw because there's no predictability. You're not scared worrying about running the ball because it's like, why should I be scared of that? Why should I be scared of that style of play action? You're not drawing the defense you're not drawing the defense which to your running back that's going to allow you to open things up to make certain throws you need to make. There's no unpredictability in his offense. There's no creativity in his offense. I hope with Zach Robinson actually coming out of the booth and going down to the sideline, he can actually see what defenses are doing and actually make way better adjustments than he's making because there's no reason for Michael Penix to not be pushing the ball down the field. We beat Minnesota in large part because Bijan Robinson ran the ball 22 times. You ain't gonna do nothing with Bijan Robinson running the ball 13 times. They got away from it quick. Carolina didn't do anything outstanding on defense. That was honestly what it was. When it got to a point, they took away the deep ball. Zach Robinson did nothing in his offensive play calling to really offset that. If they're going to take the deep ball away, you got to be able to find something to adapt to still be able to attack that defense because Carolina's defense still ain't that good, but you make a defense better when that defense has a pretty good idea of what you're going to be doing. So that game was solely, in my opinion, Zach Robinson. And then I see the people talking about we need to sit Michael Penix and Michael Penix is not good. Shut up, because y'all were just on his nutsack like 2 weeks ago. Like, shut up. Shut
Somebody
up.
actually said that.
Who?
People been saying they need to bench Michael Penix. Michael Penix is not good. Michael Penix ain't the guy. I think there was a clip. Akeem Talib, I think, said Michael Penix is not the guy. The hell y'all talking about? Y'all were just riding this man like 2 weeks ago, talking about he the future of the franchise and he's gonna do great things. He had one bad game. Now you want to talk about benching him for Kirk Cousins? That right there is why I don't listen to a lot of fans, and that right there is why I don't listen to a lot of media. I do my own analysis. I look at the games. I come out of it with what I feel like they need to do, and I go from there. I don't give a damn about what a lot of people got to say because they don't know the hell they talk about. Yeah, people saying they need to bench him. I'm like, after one bad game, and then there was a clip that Trent posted. There was a clip Trent posted. I saw the clip talking about one of the guys
Shout
was
out
like,
to that
you
Trent.
know, yeah, exactly. Shout out the young homie Trent. One of his guys was talking about, saying like Michael Penix has had like two bad games. Talking about the Minnesota game. I'm like, that Minnesota game wasn't that bad. He didn't have to do much. That
It
wasn't a
was
bad game
primarily
against
because
Minnesota.
it was primarily because of the defense. They were able to capitalize off of the turnovers. They were putting pressure on JJ McCarthy, which is why he unfortunately was hurt in that game. And as a result, Carson Wentz is
Exactly.
now taking over. And also with Bijan Robinson, to your point, BRF, why couldn't they run the ball with Bijan more? If Michael Penix was having any issues whatsoever in that game, why couldn't you just make adjustments and go with the running game? That's your best
Ex-
formula on offense.
exactly. They got away from their bread and butter. If you know your quarterback is struggling, get his butt under center, run the ball to establish a threat of a play action to where you can open that defense up so Mike can make plays. Zach Robinson did absolutely nothing for Michael Penix in terms of creativity and finding mismatches and holes in that defense to where Mike could attack the ball. We forget Mike Penix in week 18 against Carolina damn near threw for 400 yards against practically the same defense. It was nothing that defense did that was like, oh my gosh, this defense is just absolutely just ripping us apart. It was nothing they did. Atlanta still outgained them 339 to 224. 339 to 224. Why are you losing 30 to nothing when you're outgaining them by over 100 yards? And shout out to that defense. That's why I said we really didn't need to spend that much money in free agency on the defense because James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker was like exactly what we needed on that defense in order to really take a stride because you finally had speed on the edges that can actually get to the quarterback that won't get fooled as far as these running quarterbacks. They're actually able to hold, contain, stay in their rush lanes, and they're actually able to play good defense as far as not allowing these quarterbacks to just break these ridiculous runs. So I wasn't necessarily worried about the defense, and I'm still not worried about the defense because you see 30 to nothing, and it's like, oh my gosh. But in reality, that defense gave up 224 yards. That's it. Carolina wasn't outstanding. It's just the Falcons' offense was so inept because of their lack of creativity and not being able to cross either 30-yard line. That defense can only do so much when they know they are entering into a situation where the opposing offense has really good field position from the jump. That defense can only do so much. And with Carolina, if they're going to do anything, Chuba Hubbard is one of the up and coming backs in this league. He gonna get his in, and then add to that, you got Rico Dowdle, who got 1,000 yards for the Dallas Cowboys last year, who's a serviceable number two in that offense. They just hitting you left and right. After so many shots, you're gonna fold. You're going to fold, especially when it's not it's basically putting you in a situation where you're in bad field position. Like the when the field position is always in the other team's favor, is going to break you eventually. And that's ultimately what happened to the Falcons because you see 30 to nothing, you're like, oh my God. But when you think about it, it's like that was just a culmination of body shot after body shot after body shot. And then ultimately they couldn't handle it anymore. Zach Robinson needs to find a way to open the playbook, open the creativity, let Mike do what he do. He's drafted because of his arm strength. Let that man use his arm strength. They are barely throwing the ball deep when like almost every other throw last year when Mike got entered was him pushing the ball down the field. And you got the talent on the outside to do it. You got Drake London. You have Darnell Mooney. You have Ray McLeod. You have Kyle Pitts. You have got especially Kyle Pitts. Shout out to Kyle Pitts. He's been playing like a man possessed this year. Stats don't show it, but when you look at the games, he's coming in focused. He's running his routes cleaner, better. I mean, he's actually on some of these throws, like he's running back to the ball, making plays on the ball. Kyle Pitts is playing about as good as this is about as good of a Kyle Pitts I've seen since the 2021 year, since his rookie year. The stats don't show it yet because they just haven't opened this offense up. If I'm Atlanta and I'm going into this Washington game, Washington can be attacked in that defensive scheme. You got to find the holes. And it's not like Zach Robinson is a bad offensive mind. He's a good offensive mind. He just got to find that creativity, get back to what they were doing, and attacking. They hardly attacked against Carolina. This is an attacking offense. They need to get back to doing that. They will be fine. They will be fine as long as they get back to attacking defenses and making defenses react to what they want to do and not the other way around. And they will be fine, but they got to start it against Washington, because if they don't start it against Washington, they have a real possibility of 1-4, 1-5. They got to get it going, because one more loss can really just set them up for the rest of the season on a downspin. But if you get one win, it could take you back on the upswing. You just got to get back to what you do and stop being so conservative in your passing play calling. Attack the defense with your passing. Push it down the field. Mike Penix has too strong of an arm to not be pushing the ball down the field. I just think it was just a culmination of things that ended up leading to that score. But like I said, that was Zach Robinson's got to get better in his play calling. That's all that Carolina game boiled down to. Zach Robinson was horrible at his play calling. That's all it boiled down to.
Well, you're gonna have to figure out something with that play calling, because guess what? Look at their schedule. After the Commanders, they have a bye week. They have a home game against the Bills, October the 13th. Then they got to go to San Francisco. Then they have Miami. Then they have New England. Then I believe that game is at London or whatever against the Colts. Then you got the Panthers again. You got the Saints. You got the Jets. You got the Seahawks. You got Tampa at Tampa. You got at Arizona. You got the Falcons. And you got the Saints. So you got to be able to win some of these games. The defense has done their part. Really, like I said, BRF, if Bryce Young was more accurate, if he was actually hitting them throws to McMillan and them, it probably would have been far worse. It would have been 45 points that the Panthers would have scored. And this is what y'all were going through last Sunday.
God damn. Damn. Woo. That motherfucker look evil. I'm sorry. But on a good note, the Las Vegas Aces went over on the Indiana Fever. So 84-72. So big win.
Hey, Asia Wilson has been balling, rightfully so, deserved the 4th MVP, even though I love me some Nafisha Collier, but you can't go wrong with Asia Wilson considering that consecutive win streak and those numbers that she was putting up. But BRF and champ, I will say this. Y'all lose to my Washington team without those two noticeable players in Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin. Man, I don't know. Champ probably going to have to spend all night at Magic City drinking his sorrows.
Hey, man.
I'm going to just move on. If we lose, I'm just moving to the next week. The end of the day. Yeah, what it is. I'm used to a lot of this stuff by now. I don't get too up. I don't get too down. As they lose, we just move on to the next week. It's simple as that.
Hey, man, look, we got a chance. I just want to look. It's kind of like you see what something can be, and you just want it to be that. When you see what it can be and you see the capabilities of it, you just want it to be that. And that's what I'm hoping for. And that's why I get so disappointed. Like I said, I get too invested in this. I get too way too invested in this team because hey, I'm a homer for life. But I get real invested in Atlanta and these Georgia teams, man. Especially the Braves and stuff like that, man. I bleed red and black, man. So yeah, of course I'm gonna take it to heart. But hey, man, at the end of the day, man, FILA, forever I love Atlanta. I'm gonna always go behind the team, man. So it is what it is.